Hey everybody, it's Mr. Olson and Mr. O'Leary from the Marine Science Station, and this week we're going to be starting some creature features segments and sharing with you some of our specimens we have here in the Marine Science Station Aquarium. And I'm going to let Mr. O'Leary take it away from here.
Hey everybody, well, for this week's creature feature, what we're going to be featuring is our Roundel Skate. So Roundel Skates are also known as Texas Skates, and the first thing you're probably going to notice is that she looks like a stingray. A lot of people are confused by this. Stingrays and skates are related. They're both kind of like flat sharks. They have a skeleton made of cartilage, but one of the things that is the difference is that these guys don't have a stinger on their tail. She didn't like that when I messed with their tail. They don't have a stinger on their tail, but what they do have are these fins. If we can see at the back there, she has two fins right here at the back. And those are both of her dorsal fins. So on a shark, they'd be in the middle of her back, but on these guys, it's near the tail. So another thing about skates is, especially Roundel skates, there's not a lot known about them. So what we do know about them is that they only live about 9 years maximum, and it takes them about 5 years just to get to maturity. So they are a little bit in danger from overfishing just because shrimpers catch them a lot, and then they're something called bycatch, an animal that kind of gets caught and then gets kind of thrown away, and they don't always survive that. What makes this a Roundel skate and not a clear nose skate are these two spots right in the middle of her back. And those are thought to be a defensive strategy. They can maybe trick predators into thinking that these are actually two eyes of an animal that's much, much bigger. So they're thought to be related to clear nose skates because if you look right here at the front, you can see my fingers right through her rostrum, her nose there. Now, that part of her body is really important because that's what she uses to find her food. They eat animals that mostly live on the bottom, so critters that are hiding in the sand or in the seagrasses, and she uses electroreceptors on her rostrum here to detect those critters. Now, I keep calling her a female, and we know this because if it was a male, she would have kind of appendages at the back called claspers. So she's definitely a female. We also know that she's a female because she has laid several egg capsules. They're sometimes called mermaid's purses. Now, one interesting thing about skates, and it's kind of unusual for the animal kingdom, is that they can mate, and then the female can save the male genetic material until it's a good time for her to reproduce. So we caught her around November, like just before Thanksgiving break. And we've had her in here since then. She's been our guest and helping us out with our education program. But then about a month ago, she started laying egg capsules, mermaid's purses. And a few of them were empty, but several of them have active embryos and yolks in them. Now, if you guys will give me just a second to turn off the light, I can show you what those look like. This one's a good one. Let's see. You can look there, you can see the little squirmy in there. That is an embryo of a skate. And you can see the yolk sac. So the offspring will live off of that yolk sac for months. Depending on the water temperature, it could take those eggs up to 3 months to hatch. And when they hatch out, they'll look identical to her, just much, much smaller. Now, they do have a couple of other little features, like little spines and stuff that are on their backs, just to keep predators from eating them up. But they do look identical to her with the spots and everything. They're They're only in our local waters, usually in the winter. It seems like they're kind of offshore in deeper water in the summer months. Then they come up in here to lay their eggs in our shallow seagrass beds. And then in the spring they go back out. And in the spring is also when most of these eggs are going to hatch here over the next couple of weeks or the next month or two. And then they will also live in our seagrasses protected for a while. And then they'll also head out and live in deeper water and do that kind of seasonal migration.
How many eggs did she lay in this touch tank?
A total of 8 eggs. They tend to lay them in pairs. So usually they'll lay a pair of these egg capsules once or twice a week, and until she has exhausted her supply that are in her uteruses. They have to.
So once they hatch out, what are the plans for these embryos?
So these embryos are going to be kept in a separate area of our touch tank here. We're going to cordon off an area, probably with some plexiglass. Just to keep them from being stressed out by the other critters that are in here. And we plan on feeding them brine shrimp, which is just about the right size that they need for their little tiny mouths. And we've had some success with that in the past with raising skates.
Okay, anything else you'd like to add about the Roundel Skate for today's creature feature?
I think that will do it, Mr. Olson.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to seeing you again sometime soon after the schools reopen. But until then, stay tuned for future creature features and other episodes here at the Marine Science Station. Thanks for watching.
Wash your hands.